matchup. Let's see if it lives up to the hype. As in the bottom left-hand side, we'll start off with the blue Zerg. This is Reynor.
And spawning over in the top right-hand side of Pillars of Gold, he is known as the Machine. He is INnoVation. I'm genuinely curious how Reynor's going to approach this match with INnoVation, because we got to see against Time, he was very much opting for these gas pool builds, you know, like being a bit cheeky, being a little bit leery and stuff, and yeah, he's doing the same thing against INnoVation here, so it definitely feels like he's got a brand of ZVT that he likes working with, and he's going to continue with it.
You know what's super dangerous about this is if he does this like 4 times in a row, like twice against Time earlier, then twice here, and say we get to like game 3 of this, then he brings out like a roach attack, because that's the point at which INnoVation's probably like, okay, you're just being safe. And then 10 roaches show up and you're like, maybe you're not just being safe, maybe you're gonna kill me. But you know, that's the sort of mind game you can play off this as well, right? Like, it's got that power to it, so it's an extra layer that we've not seen develop yet, but something worth, I think, at the very least thinking about in the back of your mind, because it's a real possibility if Reynor feels like the opportunity's there.
Yeah, it's also like, this can be perceived in 2 ways, right? It can be like the disrespect build, like you put yourself at an economic deficit to be safe kind of thing, or it's like a truly respectful build. And I mean, when it comes to the season finals, you obviously want to pull out all your best stuff in every way you can. Oh, INnoVation. So he's going for a normal build, but then following up with a 2-1-1 by the looks of it, which is this is a build that went out of fashion maybe like 3-4 years ago, but he's bringing it back here.
Yeah, it's been a thing in TVZ lately, right? This 2-1-1, not just the 2-1-1, but all sorts of like 2 racks focused builds. I mentioned it in the earlier series, like factory into 2nd racks, etc. You know what? Scrap all that. There's the roach roaring, so doesn't even have to wait a while. He's just going to straight up open aggressive this time, and the 2-1-1's kind of a weird one against this, right? Because you do get like a good amount of Marines, but Marines alone aren't great against these roaches. You do still need to, you know, set up a defense for it.
Okay, so this is really weird. INnoVation was sending across his Reaper, showed it under the Overlord, and then went back home and denied the 2 Zerglings that showed up that was from the pool first. That is already a little bit of a win for Inno. Now, he still has his Reaper alive, hasn't gone across the map yet, but I think he's going to scout and see like, oh, there's no 3rd. And he already knows it's a pool first, which is a bit of a weird build. And yeah, he's gone for the 2-1-1. This is going to get real dicey very quickly, but I like what you said, Wardy, because yeah, he showcased very different openings from this gas pool build, and he continues to do so.
Yeah, that Reaper goes down without seeing a single roach. So now you see these Lings as INnoVation, you might just be like, well, that's your setup, and that's not even too weird against a 2-1-1 setup, right? Because you don't have Hellions, so these Lings are more useful than usual, and that's why they can come across and do just this. Forcing a lift up here. It's still a lift up. It's, you know, INnoVation isn't setting up any bunkers. That's what I'm worried about. These Marines don't have stim or anything for a long time. If he's on the low ground and Roach Ravager takes a fight, I'm not confident at all for INnoVation.
All this takes is for INnoVation to move out a little bit too far. Is he going to get baited by Lings? And this is what Reynor's hoping for here. He's hoping for those Marines to move out a bit further than they should. Obviously, the Roaches are coming in here. This is a super all-in from Reynor, and INnoVation, this is the first of him knowing anything about it.
Yeah, he does the right thing. He gets up to that high ground. He wasn't baited forward by the Lings at all, so he does get to the high ground. This is where he's got his best chance of defending. You can see the starport does still make the swap over to the reactor, so you will look for medevacs here, but not far away from being onto stim pack and so on. But Reynor, he's got access into the main base now, and this is where he can force a fight with the Ling Roach Ravager. These Marines still don't have stim. It's his best chance to trade out.
It certainly is, but it's not looking good for INnoVation so far. 21 SCVs and counting are falling. The Marines, they're doing a good job of staying alive, but what does it matter when your whole economy's dead? And like even his natural's kind of burning at this point, and he's losing his reactor as well. That limits Marine production. 2 immediately fall coming out of that barracks. INnoVation, it is not looking good for him at all in the first game.
Nope. I mean, the only good thing is now he's got Stim, but I'm not even sure you get enough Marines out to really make it worthwhile. And there's still the units here where stimming actually kind of hurts, right? Because these Marines go lower on HP. There's now 4 Ravagers, and Lings just keep streaming across the map. And on 5 SCVs, I think you can just continue to stream Lings across the map against it because there's so little reproduction on the way from the Terran player as that natural lands back down in the main, but doesn't make any sort.
They've varied up a little bit, right? Like, there's a lot more 3cc kind of variations and things. But in general, it's all starting with like the barracks first, given that you get the Reaper and then the Marine out. It's good for safety. It's good for denying the Overlord and such, given that you get the Marine second. And Reynor, for the first time today, is actually opting for the far more standard build, which is hatch, gas, pool, by the looks of it.
You know, this genuinely makes me feel like it's just been a whole ploy, right? Like, you keep opening it, now you take advantage of it, and now you're like, right, there's also no way he's going to proxy Rex. Like you said, why would you ever proxy Rex into someone who's gas pooling every game? And now he goes hatch gas pool, he gets that eco advantage, he feels safe. He's made use of the gas pool plenty. Now time to move on, and you said it right. The series plan from Reynor here really feels impeccable so far.
Okay, and I was just about to call this, like, if you're INnoVation and you've just had that done to you, do you then scout against the pool first? Because then you just send your Reaper across the map knowing what you're up against afterwards, and then you scout for specific things. So not only is he scouting across the map with an SCV, which, you know, that economically puts him a little bit behind the norm, but because he has to play safe, and then he scouts that he's against a totally normal build this time, he's going to feel bad. Even though this is very small stuff we're talking about, this is, yeah, Reynor, smart play, well played. You're already getting yourself, like, he is turning into quite the young fella.
Yeah. No, it's funny how many advantages he's eking out here. That's what you got to do to be the best in the world, though, right? You've got to create as many advantages as possible for yourself. The more advantages you have, the more likely you are to win it all.
Certainly, certainly. INnoVation here, he's kind of over at the third base. Very often on Death Aura, even though the map isn't like a super duper big one, it does take this Reaper a bit of time to get over to the natural, just because it can't take any shortcuts, hopping up ledges here, there, and everywhere. So he was just trying to deny the third if it was to go down. Reynor, though, he hasn't gone for that super duper quick and early third, despite playing the standard build here. And INnoVation, after kind of popping around, he's probably like, huh, where's your third, eh? Are you up to no good again?
I'd be worried, right? But it's obviously just going to be that 100 gas, and that's been kind of a sign of Overlord speed for Reynor in previous games today. I would be surprised if he did try to do anything aggressive with it again here this time, so we'll see.
It could very much be like a two-base Lair Spire build kind of thing from him. I mean, he is droning up like a madman. I know he's getting the early speed out, and yeah, he actually starts up that Lair, so I love the fact that he's he showed kind of like very similar things, and now he's going the complete opposite way this game by doing something completely different. This, though, okay, that was definitely a clean scout by INnoVation, and he needed something like that.
Yeah, he really did, right? Like, it looked as though Reynor had the denial yet again, which he's had so many times. Getting to see the lair from INnoVation, now he knows at least what Reynor is working with. And yeah, there's still some fear perhaps of like a Nidus, so he hasn't got to see the gas count properly, but I think he'll be much more comfortable with where he's at right now. He's getting a Viking up to deny Overlords, and in general, he probably feels like he knows a couple of different ways that this game can go and what he needs to do to prepare for each of those. Yeah,
INnoVation's too good to let this kind of like super bamboozle him, right? I like the fact that he's going into like a very, very standard build. He did get the early third CC. The Viking immediately comes out, does hunt down this Overlord, which is turning into an Overseer to try and save itself. Also, Reynor, he did, upon getting scouted with the lair, he immediately threw down a Baneling Nest, and he's already getting kind of prepared for what could be coming his way. Nice Zergling scout, so he knows he's up against a little Hellion attack here.
Yeah, it's the Baneling Nest just really is that safety layer in case he's like, okay, I see you going lab, Armory, Hellbats, let's go. So Reynor making sure he's not going to die on the way to his, well, destination, which is going to be those Mutalisks.
Yeah, and these queens, they can fend off the Hellions themselves. Obviously, the Hellions can run by, but Reynor's actually got enough Ling and Baneling behind. This Viking, though, like, INnoVation's going to use this to try and pull the queens out of position, but look how Reynor's waiting at the top of the ramp with the Banelings, and this is a beautiful explosion! Oh, that was like the beta gets baited. Like, beautiful bait by INnoVation, it's got to be said, but even better bait by Reynor.
Yeah, just walking them down, dead center on the Hellions, and suddenly 4 Hellions down. INnoVation didn't really make a huge mistake, and yet he finds himself without that map control that you meant to maintain for such a long time here. We'll see if this Viking can at least get one extra Overlord. Looks like it will be good, but then does it pay the ultimate price? It does. So an Overlord goes down for the Viking. It's a nice cleanup for Reynor. Just again, map control from INnoVation isn't really a thing right now.
No, and now that creep spread can go wild, like super wild. There's 2 Hellions left. All the early aggression is shut down. And this is kind of what we were talking about before this match even got started. Like, these guys know how to make workers, and they both do it so well. But Reynor, he's kind of got a free ticket getting up to that 70, 80 count. And that creep spread, it's also a veil of safety for him. So he'll be able to throw up a 4th wherever he wants it, maybe a 5th also. And now he's got mutas out on the map.
It's going to make their way down as you see a few Marines showing up, of course. I mean, initially this muta count isn't very astounding or anything, but it gets there, right? It builds up, and Reynor, he'll find, I mean, that's already a cancel. Doesn't quite get an STV, so good minimizing of the damage taken by INnoVation, but it's already damage being done. It's that, you know, stuff that will add up over time, and now Reynor makes his way into his own upgrades. And we'll continue to see these mutas just control this map. And like you said, that creep spread is going to go wild. It's going to be everywhere before INnoVation gets another look out past the halfway mark of this map.
Yeah, and like it's all well and good having a lot of Marines that will beat the mutas head on. But yeah, this is not the kind of position you want to be in against mutas. Like, you want to be on the aggressive. You want to be putting them on the back foot so they have to defend with the mutas. Right now, Reynor has absolute free reign, and he's hitting that drone count that he wanted, which is 82. Superb play by the young Italian, and INnoVation, he's definitely got to do some crazy moves to get really back into this. That being said, he does have one pretty significant advantage, which is the fact that his 2-2 has actually just started, whereas Reynor's 1-1 is only halfway done.
Yep, upgrades have got to be one of the decisive parts of this. That middle is somehow staying alive. Upgrades are going to be INnoVation's potential pathway back in, right? And he's going to have very short windows of time where he will have 2-2 against 1-1, and if he can make that push happen in that moment, maybe there's an opportunity, but there's so many things to shut that down anyway. The creep being the first of those, right? The mutas being another, right? Counterattacks, map control. These are all things that Reynor can use to his advantage to offset that upgrade lead.
That drone count keeps growing. Like, the army's growing for Reynor. He's being very safe. The extra layer of safety with the creep is just growing. Like, Reynor on all fronts is just growing. And Reynor, he can't leave his 3-base situation. He has a 4th CC on the way. He's also getting a Thor, which is going to be good against the mutas themselves. He's kind of got like one timing here, which is a 2-2 timing, which obviously has to deal quite a bit of damage. And I still don't see how he's going to get it done, though, because now he's against a 5-base Zerg.
Yeah. You know, Reynor, this game's lost a Ling, an Overlord, an Overseer, and a Baneling. Like, you know, 9 minutes in, kind of tells you the tale of how things have been going, right?
He's also look at the worker count right now, like, and there's 4 more drones being produced, and he's on 97 drones. He's rich. He's absolutely rich. It's going to get to that point where it can just kind of start throwing units away, and it really doesn't matter. But INnoVation's hitting 200 supply fairly soon as well, which there are a few Terrans you don't really want to go up against when they're on, like that max out supply. INnoVation's definitely one of them.
Yep, I mean, this is the 2-2 sort of moment in the game, right? Where it's like, okay, 2-2 is done. You've got that upgrade lead. Looks like INnoVation might be more so thinking about splitting the army, and we'll talk about that in a moment. As he gets caught here, Thor and the medevac go down. Okay, and this is just going to be Reynor, maybe even continuing that chase for a while. INnoVation will bring everything together. I was going to say, one thing you can do by splitting your army is that because the Zerg works off such a high drone count, the army splits for the Terran can become very difficult to respond to properly. But Reynor jumping on one half before he even moves across the map is obviously brilliant here. He cleans up some Widow mines, and he's already got the mutas elsewhere. He's actually found some mines from earlier, and he's just going to start splitting his own army up in a way that's going to be difficult for INnoVation to deal with.
Yeah, like, this is meant to be INnoVation's 2-2 timing, and right now he's having to defend. And can he move across this creep spread? I mean, this is a nice little fight for INnoVation, I do feel, and he's actually splitting really damn well while fighting on the creep. And these mutas in the main, they are met by a lot of firepower there from Inno. The thing is, Reynor won't dip below 200 supply for quite some time here.
Yep. You know, he's got money to rebuild with very quickly. He's on his way to a hive behind this as well. And obviously that's where that's where time is ticking for INnoVation, because if he gets to hive, he gets to ultras, it just becomes that much better for Reynor. It just gives him that much more to play with. So yeah, time against INnoVation is going to see Reynor from a couple of sides. A lot of widow mines on the left here. They honestly don't get the best of connections, and now he's able to catch a lot of the Marines. INnoVation's supply will plummet, and Reynor stays strong at 200, as we were talking about.
And yeah, that was like the hug of death from Reynor from both sides. And Reynor behind all this, he's about to hit 2-2 now, so that 2-2 timing's over. He's also secured himself a 6th base. And that creep spread that INnoVation was doing such a good job of cutting through, Reynor's just re-spreading it. And he's now got his hive. Like, he's survived the dangerous portion of the game, and he's still pretty darn rich, it has to be said. 95 workers to 76.
Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said about the fact that there's not been a single drone killed this game, right? And maybe the first one goes down right now. That's it. That's the first drone that just died. So it's really tough to win games against Zerg when they get to this higher worker count and you didn't get to slow them down at all on the way here. Now we've got link counterattacks. At least this will be well defended. He'll even then, though, just put it in the mineral line and maybe just get a few SCVs. At the same time, it's a distraction as he runs some Bane lanes in. And the mutas are down on the south side, of course, because why would Reynor just be absolutely everywhere on the map at the same time?
Like, Reynor, even though this 6th base might fall to these 2 4s, Reynor's getting real good damage done. He doesn't care about this base. He's actually expanding while all this is going off as well on the left side. So super duper rich is he. He's got Zerglings sat in that base that are taking a while to get cleaned up. Nice widow mines on those mutas, but Reynor can afford to literally lose almost all of those. INnoVation can't be taking the losses that he has. It's now 89 drones to 49. Reynor is doing so well at manipulating this map.
How do you run 15, 20 lings into the 3rd base that has a bunker, and they're still alive like half a minute later? How does that happen? As we do see just a trickling of Bane lanes through to this bio army. INnoVation's doing so much to deny this base, while you said it before. Reynor's already expanded to the left side. This base is like a, it's like a dummy. He's like, you know what, take this down, fight this base. I'm expanding elsewhere. I've used it as a chance to get damage done to you. And so far, INnoVation almost just took that bait. And I mean, you kind of have to, right? Like, you do have to get rid of it, but Reynor couldn't care less about it going down.
No, INnoVation's done a good job of staying maxed out, actually. Like, he's resumed the play here where he's just trying to bully Reynor around the map a little bit, but Reynor, he's just doing such a good job of re-expanding. Like, he's really... Look at him. That red patch through the middle of the map, he's just avoiding it with 2 big armies, then just throwing random banelings at it on the creep. And INnoVation, he has to respect the creep every step of the way, but it's so hard to do when you're under so much damage. And look at Reynor, such sick counterattacks by him.
Yeah, he's got a lot pushing through. He does still have to clean this up at some stage, though. He's got money to spend. I don't think lava... lava might be a problem. He's only got 2 lava in the game. He has just spent a whole bunch of it. Obviously, you're waiting for those units to come up. I really felt like he was going to do more on that 3rd base, but mining actually resumes there. I mean, it's still just a massive bank, but if INnoVation can take a good fight, I mean, it is 150 to 100 army supply.
Those are some ballsy mutas just flying above the Marines and the turret itself. And INnoVation, he's actually got himself in between all the rally points here. The Ultras are on the map, though. They don't have kindness yet. It didn't even start. Now it starts. That's actually a bit of a blunder here.
How many low health medevacs are there if these mutas just come back? And I think that's the thing that he made a mistake of earlier. He didn't bring the mutas back for a fight like this against time, and this time he will. And the mutas are going to get you. The Marines run back into Bane lanes, and now the mutas are going to chase down all those medevacs, and they are going to be impossible to replace. I mean, that's like 1,000+ gas and minerals just flying in the sky, and there's absolutely nothing to stop them. Okay, wow, Widow Mine is going to push the mutas back, and I guess you're not sure how close the Marines are to reinforcing. Reynor spends his money, INnoVation has no money to spend, and that's what this is now going to come down to, because Inno doesn't have a 4th base after all of that mutalist pressure.
I love that as well. INnoVation scans the far left. He's like, oh my god, you got that base as well. And he's under attacks again. This is textbook Zerg play, honestly, from Reynor here. The mutas just doing what they need to get done and moving out on creep. Every time that INnoVation does, he's just met by a load of Ling Bane. Nice Widowmine hits, actually dealing a lot of damage there, but there's just enough ground army. He's losing his main to the mutas. Reynor, the puppet master in play here.
Yeah, pulling the strings for INnoVation right now, and he's dancing to Reynor's tune as we'll see another couple of Widow Mines go down. One connects, but You know, it's so much more affordable to replace that from Reynor, who, yes, only 74 drones now, but against a 30 SCV. 2 base Terran, can we even call it that? Not really. 30 SCVs, dare I say, how about 20? At this rate, he's going to lose a few more. And these mutants have just been absolutely ridiculous. And yeah, in the end, he lost a lot of them, but he had so much time where these mutants just took no damage. He was on such a good mutant count for so long. And that obviously allowed him to get so much done throughout this. As the 100 supply gap has now been opened.
Yeah, and I like that you say only 74 drones. Like, that's a pretty high amount for most Zergs. But yeah, Reynor's been sitting at like close to 100 for most of this game. Like, his income has been out of control, and this is what I was scared about for INnoVation. If he can't stop Reynor from getting to this situation, it really feels like there is no stopping the young Italian.
And as Ultras continue to run down to this bottom side, the Marines, the Marauders, will not be able to hold this off, and Reynor finds himself the 2